It's going, but going slowly.
Good morning, everyone.
Good
Morning.
Morning.
This is Art Matters New York.
Here, here.
We have nice work to show you today. Mark,
Good morning. Hi.
tell us.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great, great. We have a number of paintings and works in progress, different approaches to look at this morning. We're going to start with one of our members here, Amy. I'd like to look at your work later. We have a bunch of stuff that Cliff submitted, which I'm looking forward to seeing, and then wherever else that takes us. So let's start with, let's see. Okay. Can you see that? Oh, no. Okay, that's not a share. Right. Hold on. I'm going to open the share. Okay. There we go. How about that?
Wonderful.
Oh, beautiful.
So, Amy, I told you finally we'd get around to it. We've had a busy schedule.
Yes.
Okay.
So here we are, and I'm really happy to see these. Is that big enough?
Bigger, maybe.
I guess we're going to look at these
Individual.
even bigger.
Is the one on the left a portion of the one on the right?
The one on the left is a small,
It's a detail?
yeah, no, it's a totally different thing. It's on paper, 18 by 24, I think. Yeah.
So, Amy, I think that these were those that we
No.
saw.
No,
Oh,
those
okay.
I painted over, they became the green painting.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got it. So these are something entirely new.
This was me playing around with creating a palette of color on the left. On the right is me before I thought about creating a palette of color and just taking color and just painting freely. Just, it's big, it's 7 feet.
That's very nice.
Having fun and making different marks and
And,
different tools and
but it's very well composed.
It is.
It's beautiful.
I like the colors too. It looks like some like an apparition coming out of the painting.
Yeah. Very nice.
Could we see it differently? Yeah, okay. I guess you can't enlarge it as one piece. You have to do it in stages.
Well, there's two images on this particular
I know.
photograph.
Yeah, I see that.
So are you seeing this, everyone?
We're seeing the
enough?
right-hand one, but not in its
Yeah.
entirety. We're
So
not
I'm just
seeing the whole
focusing.
thing.
Yeah, we're just focusing on the one on the right. I think what's nice is when you blow this up, you see all of these, all the marks and gestures, and I like it. I mean,
I like it very much.
I do too.
Definitely.
I just wonder, is it like, is it too chaotic? Is your eye not
looking
placing-
around? There's this
No,
No.
not at all. No.
I would say, okay. So I think that it looks like I don't think it's finished yet, but I think as a work in progress, I like all of these marks, all of these possibilities.
Mhm.
look at it as possibilities. You know, it kind of beckons for more for me, but I like just how bold and how interesting the possibilities are.
Mhm.
Mark, could you
That's
explain?
what I get
What does
from it.
that mean, Mark? What
Yeah.
does that actually mean?
Yeah,
What do you mean? What does it mean?
Put it in real English.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
possibilities, direction.
No, where do you think she should go to complete this? Because I
Yeah,
think
what areas are like, that's where
Where are you asking me where she
if it's
should go?
possibilities, apparently, in your opinion, it's incomplete.
As a painting,
Yeah,
yes.
where do you
As a
think she
painting.
should go?
I don't know. I think she should follow all, you know, wherever, whatever, you know, there's a million ways she
Right.
can go.
I think it's
Right?
complete. I
I do
really do.
too.
Okay.
Amy, was this on material or I can't tell,
So I
paper?
bought a roll of canvas because I realized it's so much less expensive to buy the
Yeah,
rolls than to buy the canvases.
yeah.
But where do you put it, Amy? Where do you paint on it?
I nailed it to the wall in our back room because no one really goes back there and nobody actually knows what I'm doing back there. So my daughter was a little horrified to see these nails in the wall, but I can plaster over it anytime I want and roll the wall.
Well,
I
it's
have
wonderful
also
that
a
you
little
have
bit-
a place to paint. It's wonderful.
I think that what Mark, well, for me, I really like this painting. I think the reason why I'm feeling like it's not 100% finished is because of the borders on both sides. So when
Yeah.
I'm looking at that, it doesn't look finished to me. Now you could, you know,
Stretches.
But that
Stretch
will
it.
be,
you
will
could
be
stretch it
stretched.
and then you can stretch it shorter, which a lot of people do, which would be nice.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, I think that when people nail their stuff up on the wall, they stretch it a little bit tighter.
Yeah, I haven't
That's
figured
what
that
I've
out yet.
seen. Yeah, so that it doesn't bunch like that.
I think also you have to trim those edges because
Yeah.
the edges buckle.
Yeah,
I think if I had trimmed that, I'm still thinking
Trim before
now.
you stretch, you mean?
That's the little edges.
Yeah.
I don't know.
On the right and
That's a good
left.
idea. I don't know.
But I figured that when I stretched it, it would help if I
Yeah.
Oh,
make a
totally. But
picture.
you need some fabric to hold on to with the stretcher pliers.
Right, right.
I would not trim it before I stretched it. Never.
Could we get into the painting?
I have a slightly different view than Mark.
Pour moi.
Okay.
Not to say I completely disagree with it.
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hear it.
I can handle it.
Laugh a little bit. Humor. No, listen, what I want to say is, I don't think, it's intense painting. I like the colors very much. The palette, which is, it's very nice and not kitschy, and, it's, I like it. And what I see a little bit with those black marks, they are maybe a little bit too, I don't know, that could be, they are a little bit, just for me, a little bit on top instead of more interwoven with the other things. Or, you know what I'm saying? That's maybe my thing, but it's on a good way. For me, it's not you have to do more. It's more. It's hard to say what I would suggest. I would have to look probably 20 minutes longer to that thing, and suddenly I would have an idea. Maybe I have end of the class an idea. I don't know, but somehow it's on it's on the good way for me. It's not
Hans, are you saying that the lines sit on top of the painting?
yeah, a little bit too much in a way. Just you know, of course, when you see those lines, you immediately think a little bit on side Wombly, and that's nothing bad, But you see all that, he has maybe still also hidden rhythms. Even sometimes it looks like nothing, but there are hidden rhythms,
Oh, there's a lot of rhythm, yeah.
And here you have maybe just something, but what I'm saying, something is still a little bit missing.
Yes,
Just a
yeah.
little, just a little. It's like just when you make let's say a bolognese sauce, there is something
Right,
not yet connected in the sauce,
yeah.
and
It
and
certainly isn't.
it doesn't need much, but something a little bit, and then it's like perfect,
It's
Then
It-
you have the
a
perfect
good
mix.
beginning. A good.
Is something missing, do you think, Hans? Or I had a suggestion,
Yeah.
which may or may not be the right thing, since what you said, Hans. If Amy, if you were to put a piece of acetate
Mhm,
over some of the black to see what it looks like without some of the black, or
Mhm.
put a big sheet of acetate and put more black on, I don't know.
Right,
Yeah, but to me, it looks extremely complete, very rhythmic. But if what Hans is saying is that there's something missing,
yeah,
you may want, or if you feel that way, I should say,
yeah, oh, yeah,
that maybe take some acetate and play with it rather than just junk the whole thing or redo it. Or maybe you can do another one.
right.
It could be just because you said about this the line, at the end of the on the side, these wrinkles or whatever. Maybe you need to add more black, sort of, that you get, because there is a wonderful light in the painting right in the middle,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
like almost like a
An aura.
revelation, just
Yeah.
almost a religious revelation.
Yes, and that's exactly what I was thinking. It's like an aura.
And maybe you have to work on that and make things a little bit darker, somehow, and more black scribbles or whatever. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? And
I
then
feel the
not too
top-
much that it doesn't suddenly scripts into a rendering of something. It's very a hard mixture. In a way you have to do. But there is so much potential as a great things happening.
Amy, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, yep.
What was in your mind when, I know not too much comes to mind, so I'm asking a stupid question, but sometimes something comes to mind. What were you thinking about a little bit,
Really just about exploring color and marks. And being like free and not going in with a preconceived idea or illustration in mind, and just being more
Were you thinking
energetic.
something about the marks and the color, or just a generic thing?
Not really thinking, honestly.
That's good.
That's good.
That's good.
That's good.
Not thinking.
That's
even
good.
better. That's even better.
That's good.
I think that there's a lot of depth in this painting, which I like a lot. And I like your color choices too, because it's an intense painting, but the colors, except for the black marks, are very light. So I think that
Yeah.
that was really well done. And I think that there's a lot of push-pull in this painting, which I love. And I also like how you ground the painting on the bottom, with that darker blue color. And I think that it works really well. The only area that I keep coming back to that I don't know if it's great or it bothers me, but I keep coming back to it, is in the center, you have like a brush stroke going down with a very light yellow, and then you have the black there, and my eye keeps going back to that spot. So it kind of violates, don't put anything in the middle, but it's interesting. So I don't know. It's
I
Can
find
you
the
focus on it, Mark, to
The-
that section?
top left area where it's a little white and yellow and pink, I feel like something is missing there. And I want to almost crop into that top row of
You mean that straight,
those across.
the straight pink line at the top?
Yeah, I almost want
Just
to
stretch
lose
it.
half of it. Yeah, stretch it.
Stretch it. Find the borders. It's easy to do. You
Mhm.
know, just you can take wood, you know, and just
Yep.
frame it
Yeah,
and find the composition that you want on the surface and then stretch it.
I'm gonna try that.
I
And
would
you
do
know,
that.
you could try it with a cardboard paper, you know, with like white pieces of mat board.
Yep,
You could make your own composition.
With
do
whatever. Yeah.
that L framing device trick
right,
and see where you like it.
yeah.
I mean,
Good idea.
I love this painting, Amy. I think it's great.
Well, so here's the funny thing. After it was dry and I wanted to use the wall, I took it into another room and I put it on the bed and it covered the whole bed. And my husband came home and he said, "Oh, wow, you painted our bedspread." I said, "No, it's a painting. I didn't paint the bedspread."
I hope he didn't sit on it.
No,
Well, now you know you can paint the bedspread
That's
if you
right.
feel like.
Hey,
The new
Sigmar
Without,
Polke
you know.
did, right? Sigmar Polke took a shower curtain.
I would go for it.
yeah,
Amy, is
Definitely.
this acrylics or oil?
acrylics.
Uh-huh.
I like this painting, but I also like what you did on the side, you know, the other painting.
Yeah,
I-
let's
Let's
see
I
look at
think
about
that.
can we look at that a little bit? I think that's
Yeah.
really
We're
interesting.
going to look at it right now.
This one I did a lot of scraping and, you know,
Mhm.
Well, the scraping brings out the colors that are underneath. Is this acrylic also?
yes.
I
do you-
really like this painting a lot too.
Watercolor paper.
How do you scrape when it's acrylic? Doesn't it dry like instantly?
Well, it does, but if you put water on it and you scrape it
Mhm.
hard enough, you can scrape it off. I had like a kitchen tool, something for like maybe taking pizzas off of.
So what did you spray it?
I took a paper towel and sort of scrubbed it.
Oh, okay.
And then I took the tools and then I just scraped really hard.
I
A
think
wet
the tra-
towel, I take it, and then
Yeah.
scraped it hard without tearing the canvas.
Tried not to tear it.
I mean, sometimes a tear is interesting too.
Yeah,
I think the transparency in this is very good. Maybe
Yeah.
there's less transparency in the one on the right.
Yeah,
Maybe
Yeah.
a lot too.
gives it more air
Yeah.
and breathing space.
I love the paintings. I really do. I think they're great.
thanks.
Specifically the right-hand one. I think it's wonderful.
It was a lot of fun.
Somehow they have a mandala look, the one on the right.
Yeah.
Thing
I
is
don't think
about-
the blue on the upper right-hand corner for me is not working. I would modify that or just play with it and
Yeah.
just see if you can integrate that more into the whole surface. For me, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't
A little
work.
too solid.
It's a little bit flat, you know, it looks
Yeah.
like the first pass on the canvas,
Yeah.
and it's somehow missing the atmosphere. It's missing the atmosphere that you're creating in the
Right.
rest of the surface.
That's a good idea.
So, yeah.
And if you take your finger and just block it out, you
Yeah,
can see
I
that
just
painting
did that
come
and-
together. The
Yeah.
painting just completely comes together.
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't know really. I see the blue, you know, it's repeated further down there.
Yeah.
I mean,
it could be toned back a little or
Yeah.
broken
Could
a
maybe
little.
also a little bit more blue down there, maybe.
Right,
Or,
or more,
Yeah,
more blue in the bottom
I,
corner.
yeah, I have not a problem.
Hans Hoffman had a trick of putting colored papers with pins all over his canvas
Oh,
to see how it would look with let's say that blue in the upper right. If
yep,
you were to do a similar something or other in the lower left for that
right.
or whatever, but a different color, it doesn't matter. But he had that trick of kind of playing with shapes and colors
Yeah,
with pieces of painted paper.
that's a great idea.
You know what I like a lot about this painting on the left is I like the drawings that you did in that, it's not upper right, but in that right area where I can see your pencil sketches.
Yes,
I
yes,
think that, like
correct.
for me, I think that like a lot of your sketches, I really love this painting. I like it even better than the one on the right. And I think that it's so well done. Just the sketching on this and even how you were like that's a cube. There's a lot of really interesting figures and shapes in this one. And I think it's more delicious for me. And
Wow.
I really like your choice of colors too. And I guess for Mark, Mark, you're thinking, I don't mind that blue, but you're thinking
Yeah.
a different shade would be better or,
But that blue creates a background foreground,
yeah,
completely changes the painting.
yeah, I kind of like it and I like the use of how you're using it throughout the painting, so my eye is, but
I like it too.
yeah, I
And
just
I
love
see,
your sketch.
I see there are many geometric forms in here,
Yes, that's what I was
which
trying to say.
completely reflect that thing. So for
Yeah.
me, I don't see, I,
I think
have
that
no
this is a
problem.
very exciting painting without being so intense.
Mhm.
I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's
Right.
It takes more time to see it.
yeah, I think it's really great.
Yeah.
I think these two paintings are very different.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Indeed.
So that means I mean, that's nothing bad, but
Okay, there's more.
okay, yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah?
We're gonna
Fabulous.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, so this is when I decided to paint over the two yellow paintings, and I was just kind of having fun with it.
so you were painting over these paintings.
Yeah, I painted over those because I
Oh.
like them.
Oh,
And
wow.
and now they're hanging in my son's apartment. He and his girlfriend loved them. And he came and picked them up and took them. I was so happy.
Yes.
Good.
And that.
They're
Got
just
him out of the studio.
experiments.
That's important.
They're just, experiments. I don't think they're anything special. There's some,
Is there another one behind that one?
just
Or
the
in
wall.
conjunction with it?
That
Yes.
That one.
Oh my, I love this one. I mean, this is,
So this one,
it's a doodle.
which came first, this or that?
That.
This was first?
That's a separate painting, and I did first.
Okay. And then you did this one and just decided to do these donuts, whatever we want to call them.
Right, circles and
Okay. Yeah. Are you going to do more of these? I mean, is this something you're interested in or you find interesting
I find it's
enough
and I'd
to
like to do
pursue?
it with different colors and but work with more layers in the background and more
What, more stuff?
different sizes, different.
I think it's a good idea. I think moving into something like this, which is still abstract, but yet there's an element that's concrete, as it were, identifiable or something, rather than just pure abstraction. I
Mhm.
think this is somehow an interesting direction. It's starting to become a language, let's
Mhm.
say, or a specific or a particular, your language, maybe. We'll see.
Mhm.
But this affords you a lot of room to paint and to play. But there's a reason why your kids grab these. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
As opposed to the abstractions, the other ones.
yeah,
Because this one has a kind of a literalism or something that's graspable that, the mind understands.
Concrete.
And then you can still enter into the painting world, the landscape of the painting. You know what I mean? The ins and
yeah.
outs, the push and pulls, the, abrasions and rubbing out, painting on, painting over. So you can still get into the world of painting, but this one gives you an entree in a strange
Yeah.
way. It gives
Yeah,
it gives the frontal cortex an
right.
entree. That's why your kids liked it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Combine the two of them in the next one. See if you can combine the two of them.
But I mean,
Right.
all these paintings are so completely different that
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would recommend something to you where to go. I think you have to really.
Well, you
do it
can. Yes, that's right.
because I mean, you know,
I agree with
That's
Mark.
true. That's true, Hans. There
I
is
like
no
also the
way.
paintings
She has to find.
which you overpainted, which maybe, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe you should not overpaint paintings
Why
Mhm.
not?
right now. Yeah, because then you can't develop, you have to deal with things you don't like. And
Well, maybe she dealt with
otherwise you
maybe,
never get the decision.
but
You know what
maybe
I'm
she
saying?
dealt with something she didn't like by painting, by going back into it and seeing where it went.
Yeah,
Maybe she
but
decided
the overpainted painting had also interesting information in
yeah,
there,
for sure. For
which
sure.
you could follow, especially
Yeah.
the right one is a good painting.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
And you know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe this you have so a variety of expressions and options you painting.
Wow.
It's overwhelming, I think.
It's overwhelming. I mean, the diversion, the difference.
There's a real satisfaction to just painting and to
Mhm.
trying all of these different things, but maybe understanding that at some point it's necessary to define what you're doing. It might be a good idea to sketch
Mhm.
along with these paintings, to do sketches and see if the sketches point you in a direction, and then go back into the paintings, and it might be a little more coherent.
Right.
I believe that there's a
So it might be good to
connection.
have both practices.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I
And I
believe,
think artists have, always done that for that
Mhm.
reason, because it's so much fun to just, jump into paint, and
Right.
go wherever it goes,
Yeah.
I'd like
It's
to say something.
seductive. It's a seduction. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Phyllis.
Yeah. I almost think those two original paintings, the pink ones, had a lot of what this one has in it. And that was the sketch. You don't really have to sketch
Yeah.
because the green painting is in this one, and these. The circular movement is there. And if she has that guide, she studies both and sees where one leads her to the other.
Yeah.
I think you're right about the green painting being her direction. It seems that way to me. I don't know, maybe I'm too arbitrary, but this
Wait.
one, rather than the abstractions. I think the abstractions are just done out of color, but abstraction can't be just done out of color. She has a wonderful sense of color. I think the other way to go is
Yeah.
the way to go, and I agree with you, Mark. And the drawing is those first two. She has a picture of them. You can always look.
Yeah.
Always look at them.
It's a good point, Phil.
Study your work, study it.
Mhm.
That's a good,
Thank
yeah,
you
it's
for
a
all the
good point to make.
suggestions.
On that last painting, I saw two forms. So on the left,
This one?
yeah, I see a female form on the left side. And she's kind of like sitting down and her leg is coming towards us. Does anybody see that? Like you have the head and then the breasts and then she's sitting and then it looks like there's another form on the other side.
Yeah, you can see something like that.
You're saying it's somewhat figurative?
Yeah, to me, it looks like two figures.
I see it now.
But I wouldn't.
I think it's really, really important. I mean, I think all of these works are valid. I think everything we've said is important and valid. I think it's really, really important to go and look at painting and go
Mhm.
and look at good painting. You know what I mean? Not just go to an art fair, not just go to a local gallery or whatever. Go to an institution, a good place, and look at really good painting because they're all on the walls. They all have a lot of presence. Why? What gives a painting presence? That's what's interesting. I mean, there's a million different approaches, million different, ways to paint that artists have explored. But, those works have presence. And I think it's really a good idea to go a little deeper and to
Yeah.
look at
I
those
was-
paintings.
I was at the Freak
Those are our
last week.
teachers.
It was amazing to see all the art
Where was that, Amy?
at the Frick.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, did you go to the Frick?
Yes,
I haven't
Yeah.
gotten there yet.
it's unbelievable.
I got waylaid.
But I think, Amy, you started now a month ago with abstract paintings, right?
Yeah,
I think you are in that sense just on the way to
Yeah.
find out what
Yeah,
you
I
want.
agree.
I mean, that's the point.
at the beginning.
It's you know what I'm saying? I can't say that much
Right.
Mhm.
paintings because it's just not
Yeah.
concentrated yet. You are not
Right.
concentrated. You are trying things out, that's fine. But it's so completely different each painting that you have to struggle, or you know what I'm saying, and that there will be a process which you really find out. I think that's it. It's not, you can't achieve that just.
Amy,
one
you're
month.
painting, for, yeah, absolutely. You have the raw material. You're painting for a reason because you love it. You're visual, you have great sensibility, in color, and all these, but painting is this huge language that you have to define for your own purposes. You have to whittle it away in a way, and and so
Right.
that's all we're saying.
Could I ask?
No, I
Yeah.
understand. It's really helpful too.
Yeah, but
Maybe-
there's so much strength and ability.
Expressiveness.
Yeah. You've got all the
Capability.
material. You've got the material.
Amy, could I ask you a question? I was wondering on the big 7-foot painting, what the tools were. Were they brushes and scraping materials, or what was the tools you used? And then also, as you were doing it, how long did it take you? And did it take shape in the first hour or a second hour where you liked it, and then something you lost it, and then you sort of liked it again? And if I could understand how the painting went from the beginning to the end, were there times that you wish you had stopped? or did you think it was done 2 hours ago, or are you still thinking it needs another couple of hours or days?
So I worked on it both in Florida first and then New York. So I was at a point where I really liked it in Florida, and I have a picture of it somewhere on my phone. And when I looked really closely, it almost looked like a person with their arms up in the air and an easel and a window, which felt like a self-portrait. And the bottom was a little contrived. And so I just went back into it and worked on it more because I felt like I could do more with it. And then I got to this point and wasn't really sure. I didn't want to trash it. There were parts that I liked, but I felt I had to kind of put it away and either not do anything to it or come back to it.
Thank you.
Anyone?
I wouldn't touch this one. I wouldn't touch it.
Yeah.
I'd just leave it be.
Yeah.
I think the one that I adore, the green one with the blue and the yellow, that needs more darks. It needs something, I don't know. This one on the right hand, the purples and yellows, I wouldn't touch it. I would leave it alone. Because I think I think with the proper stretching, you'll get what you want. And I really urge you to use the framing device.
I agree.
Use the framing device and you'll find that you have a painting that you're happy with. And if not, you can rework it.
Right.
It's your decision.
Yeah.
But if there are areas you don't like in a painting like that, which I think is complete, use that Hoffman technique and see if it works for you. And then you go back into it. It's a completely different painting.
That's where it was. So I'm happier with where it is now. I'm not upset that I changed it, but I also liked the other one.
So then just leave it alone.
Yeah, I'll leave it.
And then come back to it a couple of weeks later and see if you still like it.
Yeah.
And a month later, and if you still like it, then it's done.
Okay. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I'd say a month is sometimes a year. if I pick up an old canvas and I like it, it's done. A year later.
Amy, I want to just ask you one quick question. You're such an amazing collageist. Or as you were working through different types of painting, would you ever consider doing abstract collage pieces with abstract painting? Because what you do now is it's more figurative, you know, but maybe that's because you're so good at that. You know, I wouldn't want you to lose that in your new, I mean, it's just, would you consider doing that? And
no, I'm still doing little collage things. They're so much more. I guess I get an idea in my head and they're sort of illustrations. And so I really still enjoy doing that. This is like an exploration because I felt like some of the painting and the background painting in the collages was feeling very flat, and I wanted to learn more about color and palettes and just painting freer. And then I thought that there's a way to bring them together.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing that combination of you doing that, because I think that that's going to be like your very unique take on abstract.
Mhm.
And I think Mark said this to me once. He said, you know, when you paint, if you do pottery, you don't do it like somebody else. You do pottery the way you come to it. And I
Right.
think, you know, I think that was really good advice. And don't lose that. You're so great at that. You have
Oh,
a great eye.
nice.
So I believe, Amy, you're in a butterfly situation.
Chrysalis, a
You
chrysalis.
you don't know yet that you become a butterfly. So
Right.
you are crawling now through as like this rope or little animal, through the painting history and painting. And there will be a moment which a big wonder will happen, and you will develop these wings and then fly away.
I hope so.
But you are not yet there.
Right.
So you have to, and that's how I feel when I look at all these paintings. They are so different, but they have all to do with painting. And you can always find similar paintings of in art history, which have you are always related. We are all related. On what level we are anyway related to art. Just because you have a brush or whatever and you apply something on a canvas. But you see, that's not yet the thing. As an artist, we have to make there will be this moment which you can't do differently than that, So, it's, and even painting even from certain paints can be so different. There is a line in there. There is a so-called a red thread, or I don't know what, but which is sometimes so amazing, to see actually how some artists make so different work, but it's still you recognize them. It's not because they want to be recognized, because everybody says, that I don't want to have a personal
Signature.
signature or whatever. You want to be free, but at the end you have it anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Picasso,
Right.
or what we always say, Picasso, but he wanted to be free. But the point is, had a very clear signature at the end, which he didn't want to. But it's basically, it's always Picasso, and you see it immediately. And it's so. But that's with all these artists like this, in a way. That's the interesting part, Even you do videos or blah blah blah, or you can do whatever you want. It's something comes through, which gives an identity to you, in a way. It's very interesting. But so you are just on a wonderful way for me, and there will be the butterfly effect.
Butterfly at the end. I hope so.
All right.
What if I'm not a moth?
Shall we move?
What if I become a moth?
Yeah.
That's okay too. That could be great.
Okay.
Yeah, moth.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any transformation works, can work.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's move on. We're not going to, these are other images by, but let's go here. This is, we're gonna look at some of Clifford's work.
Wow.
Cliff, this is yours, right?
Yes, yeah, that's one.
All right. Do you want me to start anywhere in particular, or is this okay?
You can start anywhere is fine.
Yeah, let's see.
Let's
this
start
one,
here.
but
This is watercolor?
it's nice.
It's acrylic.
Yeah.
You thinned it down?
No, but I remember it sort of was a cover. I think I covered up a lot of the painting with that white background and sort of tried to minimize the painting and just have less on the canvas. So it was sort of a, I didn't like what I had, so I sort of painted over it to try to get it to be less. And, I don't like it that much, but I had it and I thought I'd just show it.
I like it.
I do too.
You maybe
I
don't
like
like
it.
that, but I like it.
But what's interesting for me is that Hans likes this because it's covered in white. This is just a delicious white painting.
Yeah, but here it's fine. It's so much white that I like it.
The blue, the purple shapes, if you saw it in person or could blow up on it, they're kind of complex. And I think that's what I liked
Right.
about,
Oh, wow.
I liked something that was going on there and I thought it was worth keeping. And so that's the only, yeah.
I like the piece. It's a
Yeah.
nice piece.
Well, yeah, we can see what it is. There's a lot of underpainting going on there, and then you're, revealing, a little bit of it. And so we know that that's under the white. So even though it's complex, and there's a lot going on there, yeah. What's more important is that, you're very, very direct about the fact that it's an underpainting. In
Yeah.
other words, that's what I see. I see the white, slathered, in a, as I said, delicious way over the surface of the painting, and then you added, whatever, the yellow flowers or whatever. So yeah, even though there is some complexity to those purple areas, I think more importantly is that it reads as something that's going on beneath the surface. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it has form, it has presence and whatever as an element, that's part of the whole thing. But I see the technique, as it were, how it's achieved. I mean, that's part of it too. And the fact that you have no, compunction, what's the word? Compunctions about revealing what it is, I like. It's very direct. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you're letting it be what it is, which I think is nice,
It works.
It works.
It's and it's flip, it flips, of course I see also you can look it as holes, that you look through the white with the underpainting, but it goes back and forth. It's very I like that. I like also how you did the flowers and that you didn't do too much, that you didn't paint a vase or you try to paint a vase.
It's the invisible vase, yeah.
Which you had always
you dispensed with the vase, which is very convenient and it's fine. It works.
And I like these forms. They are each form is completely different, and they are very surrealistic form. You can even see I see a butterfly down there. Even look at this.
This has a relationship with Picabia. I think we mentioned Picabia before. Huh?
With aliens.
When we looked at your work before.
Pollination.
I think we talked about Picabia briefly. You should look at Picabia because he did some things, like this, where he was just very, very out front about what he was doing, just playing and simple, direct ideas. And this has a flavor of that for me.
Okay. Thank you.
It's very.
You should check them out.
But it's a really also tender piece. It's very poetic to me, and it's very.
Yeah.
You should give him a very poetic title, and if you don't have, then you say just pollination number 1. But I want to see 25 of them.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I think.
Deal.
Okay.
You find that, or if you find a poetic title for it, you don't have to paint 25.
Yeah, that naming paintings sounds like a fun part of the process.
Oh, look,
I've,
here is another one.
I've never done it. I've never named a painting, but it's fun to think about. You know, it could be an important part of your artistic process is sort of naming it.
You know what the thing is, Cliff? If you don't name it, someone else is going to come along and name it for you. So you might as well name it what you want to name it.
Yeah. Well, this one's sort of similar.
Someone else is going to do it.
This one was sort of
This is-
similar to the other one, so I just maybe like it worse, but I don't think it's that we need to discuss much more about it because it doesn't have anything really more.
Yes, it does.
Does it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I like
I-
that one better,
I
actually.
actually love this one.
Yeah, I like it better.
I actually like
I
this
like
one.
this one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I'll tell you
Agreed.
well, they're both good, but I'll tell you what's really nice about this, if I can get it. This one really becomes abstracted. Like these little pieces now no longer resemble leaves or this or that or the other. Yes, they come from that idea, but they really start taking on their own, the abstract life of their own. They become, little forms, little colors, shapes, and it starts almost becoming, what's the kind of painting, Hans, where there's like a French guy that does these things. It's almost like a kind of a pictorial minimalism. I don't know. We don't have to name it, but this almost has its own abstracted language as opposed to this, which is more obvious, right?
Yep.
But I like this. This starts having its own.
The color is more
I don't know.
abstract too.
Yeah, and the shapes are really
And the
crazy. Like, look
lights
at
and
this
the
leaf.
darks are just wonderful.
Yeah, it has more a playfulness also in there. Maybe.
Yeah, this one is taking off.
But
This one's
Sings to me.
Yeah,
It sings.
I agree.
I
But
think
you know
you
what
have
I
a
like about those paintings is, in a way, you revealing how the painting is done. Everything is visible. We know it's an underpaint. You paint over it, and you paint over. And that's something very wonderful. What one can see how something is done. You know,
Absolutely.
That's something beautiful when you see that.
Right.
I mean, that's
Absolutely.
one version of art. Some, the illusionistic paintings that they don't want to reveal the brush stroke. They want to everything hide, that you have such the illusion or whatever of something. That's another position you can go. But I mean, I like this very simple way, in a way, and it's just.
Yeah, I do think I'm going to enjoy doing not over paintings or under paintings like this, but I think I'm liking the sort of abstract minimalism, the stroke that isn't necessarily, you don't understand what it. I'm not trying to make it look like something. So I do plan, and I look forward to doing paintings that have a light touch, because I used to paint so thick and heavy, and I would just be so quick to apply tubes of paint that I'm teaching myself to just back off and be done sooner and not have to. Yeah.
I think you have a poetic flair.
I do too.
Rely on your inner poetry, and you do that. I like it.
I do too.
Me too.
Like I love this thing right here, this cross, because it's just like, and this line that happens to go across this.
Yeah.
And
Because those are just
the background and the foreground are integrated.
Yeah. It's very poetic.
It is poetic.
Thank you.
Lovely. That's a very lovely piece.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I agree. I love it a lot.
And the emptiness is also lovely on the just right up, the whole white thing there,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
and you not put that also another formula, just really also a dynamic.
Absolutely.
So that's great. Yeah, it's really nice.
Chris, I mean, Cliff,
Yeah.
sorry, man. I keep saying Chris, but I'm just
Cliff.
confused. It's me, not you.
Mm.
When you sent these, you wrote a little note that said
Yeah.
you were looking at Alex Katz.
Mm-hmm. I've been reading books on him, and the other paintings show that pretty dramatically. The other paintings that.
So do these paintings?
No.
Do they have something to do?
Well, no, they might have. I might have done them after discovering Alex Katz's sort of style,
Right.
but they weren't related. They were
Okay.
they were done after, but the other ones I'm showing are real, intentional, trying to do what he does in this sort of minimal way. And some of the most important things is the brush stroke of like some of those green marks, the way it flares out if you blow it up. I'm attracted to that gestural brushstroke that's not. And so I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Does that. And then the black background was something I had never experienced. And so and his bold color choices, I really appreciate his the simplicity.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I can see more Alex Katz in this.
Yeah.
I mean, what you were going for, what you just described, the bold colors, the black background, the gestural marks, movement. That's all very Alex Katz to me. His more, his later work.
Yeah. It's fun. I really just like his the fact that he works quickly, and most of his paintings aren't more than X number of hours. It's kind of like me, where I tend to want to bring closure to a painting in a sort of not a dragged out, painful way that takes a lot of detailed effort with the brush and forcing, you'll see from another painting I did here, I had a really hard time doing this little house on the horizon, and it was really hard for my hand to do that. And this one I love because I've never done a painting with, I don't know how many hundreds of strokes there were on that tree and those leaves, but I've never taken the time to try something. And so I really appreciated the effort it took for me to do these brush strokes where no brush stroke it wasn't just a dab of paint. I tried to make each mark its own unique thing. And that really was fun. And I think I learned a lot from this painting.
Good.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's fun. It's really just the effort in this. I could see that. I don't know if I want to see that, but I see it and I appreciate it. You know what I mean? I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was really testing my patience.
But it's fun. There's something kind of wonderful about this. The mix of elements of, the surface of, the leaves, obviously, the calligraphy of the leaves, the flatness of the foreground, and then the more depth that you get into with the reflection and the smoky, shadowy outer bank, and then the kind of the primitivism of that little house, which is that what that is? It's supposed to be a little house?
Yeah.
With black windows, which is kind of interesting,
Okay.
So there's a lot of fun stuff going on in here.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. It's for me, I have happy memories of doing this. And
Good.
yeah, it wasn't a struggle. it was just a learning opportunity to use bold colors in the background or solid. And then, compositionally, I enjoyed the challenge, and
Yeah.
it was fun.
What really is nice in this, I'm realizing, is the limited palette is terrific. That mustard, so bold in the foreground.
Yeah.
And then everything else is sort of white, black, and gray, and
Yeah,
it's
you
very
would not,
elegant.
you
that
wouldn't
contrast.
believe the lack of care. When I go to pick up a tube of paint, I almost don't even look at what color it is, and I'm putting it on the painting. So for me to reduce my palette and to just work with 2 or 3 colors, it's really been great, because no one wants to see a dash of orange in the middle of that water, So,
Right.
but because my abstract mind and my careless of sort of emotional process is so haphazard that I constantly am picking up tubes of paint. And if the paint doesn't open up easy, like if I have I don't put all these screw caps on properly. So sometimes I'll pick up a tube, try to open it. And if it doesn't open, I abort and go to the next tube. And so
Right.
I admit that I have to be a more thoughtful, to get better, I have to be more thoughtful about my color choices and mixing colors, or not mixing colors, because I was reading something about Joan Mitchell there, and I think she didn't mix a lot of paint. She went from the tube a lot, and it gives a very bold color if you see her work. I think I read that she doesn't mix a lot of colors, and maybe she mixes it on the canvas, but she doesn't mix it before she applies it. And so that was a lesson from her I got recently, to not be, don't think that you have to mix every color in this really unusual way before you put it on the canvas. You can take colors from a tube and come up with something pretty, and as long as you have some sense of the colors, I'm learning, which colors, I just know that my limited palette is helping me now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think this is a perfect example of that.
Thank you.
I like this a lot. I think it's a really interesting perspective for painting, and it's kind of like it reminds me of photography compositionally. Like if that were me, I would take a picture like that, with my camera.
Mhm.
Well, I think it's really interesting, and I like the composition, and I like how you're breaking through the trees and seeing things, and I think it's really nice.
Going back to Alex Katz a second, the thing I love about Alex Katz is that that he is looking at the world
Yeah.
and delighting in it. So every single one of his paintings is an expression of his delight at looking at something.
Oh, that's
Yes,
interesting.
good point. Yeah, I see that.
He loves looking at the world.
Yeah.
He loves nature. He loves, he
He loves
that guy.
women.
Yeah, he sees. He really has So what I would say about this painting is that even though it was a fun thing for you, you have to look at the way leaves really look on a tree. In other words, you painted the idea of how leaves look on a tree,
Yeah.
right?
Well, that's what makes it interesting for me, is that
Absolutely. Listen, absolutely. So it has its own thing, right? It has its own thing, but it's an idea. Alex Katz, when he looks, he's looking at the way it works because he loves it. He's going, why is this so fucking beautiful?
Yeah.
And he's really looking at how it works. And so I think that, there's a lot, as I said, there's a lot going on in this painting, the flatness of the yellow, and then the space, and the reflection, and there's more atmosphere in the way you painted the sky. So there's a lot of, it's a pastiche. There's a lot of different painterly, you're using a lot of different ways to paint different things, right? So some of it's sort of literal, like, you know, the far bank, the sky, those are somehow more literal. But then the leaves are this complete explosion of your own idea. You know,
Yeah.
it could be a beehive, you know?
Right.
So I'm just saying that I think you have to, I mean, I don't think you have to do anything, but I'm just saying you have to decide which one it's going to be, you know, or if you're going to use all of these things in a big, you know, mashup, right? Which you could do, people do it. Or if you're going to really observe, you know, what turns you on.
Yeah. Thank you.
But it's good.
Well, it seems to me that the lyricism of nature turns him on.
Yes.
Does that true, Cliff?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. I really like, you know, abstract painting, but with some nature coming through somehow.
Yes. Yes.
It's interesting. The trees, the leaves, I don't even read them as leaves. To me, it's alive. It
Yeah.
could be any, and I don't even think it's not that it's birds or bees, it's something alive that's through the sky. And it's interesting that they're black and white and everything else is color. It adds a drama.
Yeah, the leaves are those in the yellow are different colors, and there's some different colors that I appreciated, but I was going to work on it more and bring in these other colors instead of the black and gray. I was going to do some of these sort of less black and gray images of those, but then I thought, oh, I didn't. I felt like I was just going to leave it because I liked it enough to not have to want to work on it more and have it become too heavy.
Did you ever work with ink, Cliff?
No. But
You'd be very suited to it.
Yeah, I look forward. I'm traveling to Japan in November
Oh,
with
good,
my
good.
family, and I signed up for a class where I'm gonna use ink. And
Good.
Yeah, so that'll be fun.
That's good. That's very good.
Yeah, that'll be good. Because the brushstroke in Eastern
Yes.
art, you know, coming from the Chinese, the brushstroke is so important.
Yeah.
The
It's so
integrity,
difficult.
and the meaning, you know, inside of
Yeah.
yeah, it's very important.
Yeah, it has a surrealistic.
This is wonderful. Wow.
It has a surrealistic touch, the leaf explosion.
When you mention the word impression, that a painting sometimes makes an impression, this painting came to mind because obviously for me, there's an impression. I don't know what my impression is, but it's not a painting that doesn't have an impression for me. So when you mentioned the word an impression on one of the last paintings we looked at, this has an impression.
You know, this more than all of the others has that sense without being derivative or literal of what I was talking about with Alex Katz.
Yeah.
This feels like it came from a very specific, as you're using the word impression, but a very specific feeling. I don't know what it is. I don't really care, but it really, really comes together in this painting. Whatever that feeling, you know, idea is, it really works in this painting.
Sure does. And
Does everyone else kind of
the obnoxious orange and black are beautiful here.
Yeah, and the white.
How'd you do that?
The first color I did was orange. Then the second color was blue, and I had to wait until it dried. And that's really that's hard for me to walk away from something and give it 20 minutes to dry because I would just ordinarily keep going, and then get it blurry.
Yeah.
I did take the time to let the orange dry and I let the blue dry, and then I did the white, and then I did the black, I think, at the end. And, you know,
The black is so good, is so bold, like these forms, lines, the chaos, it just is so much fun and it's so effortless.
This
It's
is an
really, and
yeah.
the two colors are so striking with the
It's
black.
amazing color.
They're a
It's really
strong,
good.
wonderful counterpoint to each other. This is a wonderful painting.
Yeah.
thank you.
Fabulous.
It's a black sort of grid somehow holds it all together, and yet it's asymmetrical, and it's got a lot of tension, and even there's a tremendous color disparity in terms of value, and
Yes,
yet the whole thing works.
it does.
It just works.
It really does.
It seems like a complete whole.
That's a very good painting. Very good.
It's
It just works.
Yep.
The
get
wildfires,
distracted.
the wildfires of California, if I had to name this, I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
name it.
Oh, yeah?
Wildfire,
Ah.
wildfire.
Well done. Well done.
Because
Yeah, it's a
obviously,
destruction of a building, you know. Could be also a tornado, or I don't.
Yes.
I feel like I'm looking up and the orange are still the buildings and,
Yeah.
you know, the ceilings are open with this, I think it's really terrific.
thank you.
And the sky is still there.
Yeah.
That's the poetic part.
Yeah, what an important characteristic of the composition to have the nature come through with the potential of that sky. I mean, that sky is not the
Yes.
bottom, the sky is the top, because it is.
Yes.
And so that was not a trivial color choice. And yeah. But using so much black, I can tell the last time I did a black and red painting, my wife told me it scared her and upset her. So I'm sure this one is not going to be comforting for some people to have to look at. It's not like you look at this painting a lot and want to live with it in your bedroom. I mean, this is a painting you might have somewhere where you see it once a month.
I
Turn this
I'm not so
upside down.
sure about that. It depends on who's looking, like I could look at this for a while.
It's a very good painting. Could you turn it upside down, just for kicks?
No,
For you,
more
Marcia,
kicks.
let me see if I can.
I mean, it's complete and good the way
That's
it is,
already a kick enough for me.
but I'm just curious how it would look upside down.
You know what? Oh, there it is over there. Yeah, okay, I got it. Okay. Hold on.
Just out of curiosity. I mean, I think it's complete and great the way it is. Oh, no.
No. The sky belongs where the sky belongs.
Yeah. Although
It's perfect.
In
It's
this
perfect.
painting.
it's really good.
Yeah.
So I remember. I know you guys saw the show at MoMA. Was the Matisse? I think it was the Red Room. Remember
Yeah.
that? The Red Studio.
Yeah.
You remember that show, Martha?
Yes.
Well, I remember reading there was a lot of text about that on that show with that show because
Okay.
it referred to all of his studio and the pieces in the studio and so on and so forth. And I remember reading this interview with him, and he said every painting comes from a feeling. Do you remember that?
No, I don't. But
He was
that's
saying that every
Painting.
painting for him grew out of a feeling that he had to have that a feeling before he was able to paint.
well,
Meaning
Phyllis
an
keeps
idea.
Yeah. Well, Phyllis keeps saying, what were you thinking about when you were painting it? You know, and sometimes I don't even think about what, I do, but I don't, because then the painting takes you to a completely different place. But it's important to start with a feeling, I guess.
Yes, I think that's.
Yeah. I mean, I don't every time. I don't. But I'm just saying, that this painting feels like it came from somewhere.
It's a good one.
I don't know.
I think most of his work is in that category.
Well, is that the last one you sent,
I think so.
Cliff?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that it?
Kudos on that one. It's really good one.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very nice work.
Very good work, Cliff.
Good work, Cliff.
Beautiful.
Nice work, Cliff.
Well done, kiddo.
They're fun. They're all fun.
Keep
Then,
having
then
fun.
you're missing something. If it's fun, you're missing something. It's supposed to be angst ridden.
No, it isn't, Marcia.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So because you mentioned Alex Katz, I threw this in. I think we looked at this before, didn't we?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, we looked, we saw that.
that's a
Because-
great one.
Because Cliff,
The white hat.
when you sent your works, you quoted him,
Yes.
Lichtenstein. He said he wanted to make something so simple that it was undeniable.
But it says, I like to make an image that's so simple you can't avoid it, and so complicated you can't figure it out.
There you go.
And I think this is a perfect example of that.
That is absolutely true.
Yeah, here he is. He's got his main subject smack in the middle, right? It's something we're told not to do, right? But it's a wonderful painting. The white birch canoe, it's obviously, so phonied up. It's
So,
the
you
white
know,
hat against
doesn't
the
he
white
use-
shadow.
Doesn't he usually either do landscape or people? But I haven't really seen a lot of people in landscape with him.
Oh, yes.
Oh, he does
No,
both?
no, he does. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's done people. Yeah, absolutely.
Look at the way he does the trees coming off the mountain and some of those areas of the mountain, and the simplicity of the clouds and those rolling hills.
And those.
You know, what's nice about this is that you understand the difference between what a camera does, a photograph, or looking at reality, and what an artist does. An artist selects. He's making all kinds of selections.
Yes.
So you see that so clearly in this painting,
The watercolor in
that this is
particular.
the result of,
Yeah, his watercolor choice.
Yeah.
I mean, the choice of the color. You couldn't. I mean,
Yeah.
I was once in
right.
Patagonia. And
Everything.
there was a color of water that was almost like that, but I've never seen water that color. And the fact that he was able to, pick that color and put that color in the water makes this painting what it is. Because if it was more realistic, it wouldn't be him.
But he's looking at, pattern, like in the reflection.
Yeah.
He's looking at, the line, well, like, this line, the way this line, goes down and then curves,
Yeah.
and how important that is in just the visual, in the in the image, how this creates the image as well, this reflection, this line.
Totally.
So all of these choices, and then the horizontals against that go from, all of these are those are all painterly considerations, selections.
Yeah.
That's what's,
That middle image could easily be a piece of sculpture.
yeah.
The coat and the reflection and the oars make a magnificent sculpture.
And look how loose the painting is on the side of the canoe. It's almost funny. That graffiti there. It's hilarious. But it works.
Looks like my great-grandson's onesies. It's funny. You're right, Mark. That is funny.
Funny. Anyway, so I threw that in, just because you made me think about him again.
Thank you.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah. So that's what I was saying to Amy before about looking at good paintings and going, well, why is this so damn good? And really like looking at it.
I
don't
think
know.
one way it's because the artist shared himself or herself at the bottom roots of his being. The sharing that makes us human.
Yeah.
I think makes our art. And it's a matter of selecting which way you're going to go. Because like Amy, there are millions of ways she can go. And that's the hard part.
Yeah.
But the easy part is when you get smooth sailing and you just go with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems that over history, the little I've read about art history, that certain artists sort of hung out with other artists, and they sort of
Yeah.
were doing the same kind of stuff, learning from each other. And so, it's nice, if we had the pleasure of working together in the same community, then I would be picking up on what Amy was doing, and then trying some of her stuff, and then she might see something. And so it's interesting to think that, as you say, that all art is connected, as Hans was saying, and how interrelated everybody is, and how all our paintings are sometimes interrelated.
And they steal from each other.
But
Yeah.
that's the beauty of being in a class.
Yeah.
In a class setting, you have that beauty, that luxury, that bond, that togetherness that is, unfortunately, remiss from a Zoom class where there is no interaction while you are working. We just don't have that, and it's just not possible for Zoom.
Could I recommend to Amy, just for fun, that maybe she takes a photo or two early and in the midpoint of a painting, so we can see what it looked like early, just to kind of reflect on it.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay, that's a good idea. And then we could we could see how we overpainted or didn't do enough.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So
I'll do that. Yes.
So with regard to what Cliff, what you guys are talking about a community and where this comes from, here's an artist I just threw in. I don't even know his first name. Someone sent me these, and his last name is Wray, W-R-A-Y.
It looks almost like a Rorschach.
This is the reason why. Well, wait till you see what I have 4 paintings by the guy, but I think it's absolutely appropriate to what we were just talking about, because this guy is painting very much in a kind of a way that other artists are identifying or understand or are looking at these paintings as as kind of the way that painters, I should say, are thinking right now, without putting your finger on it, without having to define it. I think this guy is, doing something that's very, I could say, contemporary, or, whatever. So look at the painting.
About a cultural zeitgeist with this guy?
Yes, yeah. I'm talking about
the other ones.
Yeah. So I'm just talking about a guy that's painting, but with his eye to what's going on, what's possible, so on and so forth. I mean, I don't know what he does. I don't know who he is.
Right now?
Does he show at Karma?
Oh.
Karma, is it? Is he at Karma?
Yeah. No?
Almost amoeba like.
It has
Could be. His last name is Wray, W-R-A-Y.
Is there any Chinese or Japanese influence in either of them?
Could be.
Yeah, it's a weird forms for biomorphic is that the guy which made this medical image from? Is it from medical images?
Yeah, it looks like a brain.
It looks very it looks very anatomical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It sounds, yeah.
all of them look somewhat anatomical.
So, it's like I'm not sure, I think it's good. I think
Yeah,
I think you have I think it's very,
you're breaking up.
it's very personal. It's
Very
very
personal.
his Can you hear me now?
No, you broke up.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have a lousy connection here.
It's kind of esoteric, but somehow or other, it seems
Yeah.
to be, it seems to speak to us, or I find these. I find these like they have something that speaks to me. I don't know on what level.
It seems to be elemental.
Yeah, very, very anatomical, almost
An elemental.
elemental, yeah. Life forms at their beginning.
Yes, yes.
Biomorphic.
But very, yeah, biomorphic. That's a good.
Yeah.
That word is gooder.
It's very biomorphic, right?
Indeed, yes. Let's see that first one again, please.
But this
You're gone, Mark. Mark?
Yeah, I saw that show. It's just, yeah, Ray. It's yeah.
Is it correct?
Randy Ray. It's his name is Randy Ray.
Is it current?
Yeah, it was exactly. I saw it at Karma just before I left.
Oh, at Karma Gallery?
Yes, on 2nd Street.
Oh.
And it's sort of...
Hi.
Yeah, hi, Mark. I just said I saw that show at Karma on 2nd Street.
Oh.
Street. It's Randy Ray is his name. And
yeah.
I was, there is something.
What do you think?
I felt not depressed, but not really excited. I felt like really, like it's so dead. The paintings are so dead in a way. I mean, there is something, but it's so
repressed.
It's not really, it's, I don't know. It's just, I was not happy to see it. And he has 100, I mean, there are two shows. One is the big show with the bigger paintings, and then he makes smaller paintings, which are maybe the size like this, And I think he deals with, medical issues. Well, I don't know exactly his.
Do you think the paintings are repressed or depressed?
No, I don't know. Sometimes it's like we had another artist one time discussed, Mark, a couple of months ago. It was a woman which you shot, and this painting were also sort of just I don't know. They were all good, but it didn't, resonate. Something didn't resonate. I don't know. Just it's like. But I mean, you can see a lot of, you can also make connection to Munch paintings, or or to it's so. It could be something like 100 years ago.
I don't like them.
That's probably a bigger one.
Yeah,
I know they're not likable particularly. I agree.
This reminds me somehow of a William Morris wallpaper.
Yeah.
Kind of repressed Art Deco repetition.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was.
I like some of these colors. I think are pretty interesting.
Yeah,
I don't
they are
have
all
to
interesting,
see
but
them
the whole thing.
live. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think the question of beauty comes into these.
But yeah, I think I agree. They're not exciting, but
Uh,
But the colors are quite interesting.
Are they muddy?
This lavender, what a pop.
Oh, they're muddy, all right.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's kind of, I'm depressed like Hans. They depress. I find them
yeah,
sad.
yeah. I
Organic,
can see.
organic, and organ-like. You know, I can see why the guy could have
Yeah.
been a surgeon. He might have been a surgeon. He's got body parts in there, and I don't know,
Right.
not pleasant.
But they
Yeah.
are
Okay.
craft. The craft is okay. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? That his ability to paint is
Yes.
no question about it. But it's the whole. I don't know what he renders. What he's. It's so.
It is bizarre.
Yes.
It'd be interesting to hear him talk about what he was thinking when he painted these.
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, we'll ask Phyllis to ask him.
I'm not sure why, but can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit.
So I'm gonna, I'm gonna thank everyone who joined us for joining us, and I thought that was a pretty interesting discussion.
It
I
was.
really
Yeah.
appreciate um, all of the work that we looked at uh, from Amy and Cliff.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's
Very
really
much.
fun.
Thank you.
It's really fun, and it's
Absolutely.
yeah. I think we get into it. You know, I think we really
I want to get into your.
get
I want to get
inside,
into your paintings, Mark.
you
Someday
know,
I
and
want to see your painting someday.
I think it's fun. I promise.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna stop the live stream. Thank you for joining.